Using a clay bar is a pretty weird thing, right? Conceptually, it's really off the wall. You rub a piece of clay on your paint to make it smooth. Well, what? That's crazy. It's not. It's been around for a while and it's really effective. First, how often do you clay? I typically clay a car at least as often as you change the oil. You will have parked next to a tree, you will have gotten some paint overspray, you will have had some fallout. Something will make your surface rough easily every 2,500 miles. Also, when you're thinking, does my car need clay or does it not need clay? I feel the paint, it feels pretty smooth, like we just washed this car, it's all clean. It feels pretty smooth. If you don't know if your car needs clay or not, before you clay, do the baggie test. The baggie test? The baggie test. Get a Ziploc bag or a plastic bag and gently put your hand inside and gently rub it over the finish. Holy Hanukkah, that is crazy. This is terrible. This Bentley is rougher than a night in a British jail. That's terrible. This thing is terrible. So, whether it was smooth to my fingers, it's clearly, this is the truth serum right here. This is how you really know. You put your hand in a bag, rub it over the finish. Heck yeah, this thing has either paint overspray, it has industrial fallout, it has tree sap, or some other thing on that finish that makes it extremely rough. So before we do any sort of polishing or waxing, you want to make sure and clay your car. Now, when you go to clay your car, how much do you do at a time? Well, I'm going to spray an area with our detail spray, which is the lubricant for the clay bar. I want to do an area where I can easily spray and rub the clay over the finish before the detail spray dries. So, like this, indoors, on a temperature-controlled garage, I can do big areas because it's not going to dry fast. If it's a hot day, I want to do a smaller area. So, take the clay bar, spray a little bit on the bar, and then gently rub over the finish, and back and forth, until you've covered the whole area. Now what I'm doing as I clay the vehicle is I'm removing all the surface contaminants. In fact, the contaminants that were on the clear coat are now in the clay bar. You'll see them. If your car's blue like this and you're claying it, and suddenly you're looking at your clay bar and it's green. And then you remember, oh, my next door neighbor was painting his lawn furniture green out in front of their house yesterday. Well, that's where your overspray came from. So whatever color the contaminants are in your car, you're going to see them on your clay bar. Now, when I'm claying, I want to make sure to also clay the glass. Now, claying a car isn't very hard. Honestly, it shouldn't take you more than about 20 or 30 minutes to do a whole vehicle, even a big vehicle like this one. Oh, another question we get asked a lot, how often do you clay your car? Well, where do you park it during the daytime? Where do you park it at night? Typically, I like to clay about as often as I get my oil changed. That's about often enough that I'll have some sort of contamination on the finish that needs to be removed. Now, wow, take a look at all the contamination that we just pulled off that clear coat. At this point, once your clay bar is contaminated pretty evenly like this, fold it in half, stretch it open, fold it in half again, and what I'm doing is working all the contamination deeper inside the clay bar, off the finish, and then I've got a nice clean finish to continue finishing the car with. How long does a clay bar last? Well, on average, a clay bar lasts between 5 and 8 uses. If you're doing something that's really wasted, it could kill a clay bar in 1 use. If you're doing something that's pretty nice, you can get 20 uses out of 1 bar. All right. I've clayed the whole car, including the headlights and the taillights. Very important to do that. And now I'm done. So I've got detail spray residue over the entire car. You're always going to follow a clay job with either a polish or a wax, whether you're polishing by hand or with a machine, but you don't need to remove the residue. It's just a waste of your time and energy and a clean towel.